3 in the ninth. So that happened 3 or 4 times last night. So on to football, as they say. So.
All right. So, and you know what? Sorry, y'all. Me and Jeff just literally went off the skids a little bit, but it's cool. It's cool. You know what I mean? I know that. I know, me and brother Jeff really do. You know, it's baseball season, man. Baseball, bruh. Baseball. That's all. Baseball, bruh. Baseball. You know, love us some baseball is just it's back in full bloom. I don't care what anybody says. It's the only sport that you can possibly watch this year and not have to worry about the headache of what's going on outside of the game. It's all about what's going on in the game. You know what I mean? That's all they're worried about. They're not worried about, you know, who these guys are dating. They're not worried about any of that stuff. So that's why you got to love some baseball. You know what I mean? Because they mind their business in baseball. Only thing they worried about is the game. That's it. All right, man. We spent this is the NFL bet exchange. We done went into the midday Monday report. So, you know, let's go ahead and get to it because I know when I get to editing, I don't want to add this part into the Broncos situation. So, Broncos, Jeff. Broncos. I'm gonna let you kick this one off, bro. 5-12 last season. Did they to you? Did they have high expectations? I don't think so. I think
last year or this year?
Last year, I think that the owners they were transitioning the ownership group, and I don't think that they wanted to put too much pressure on Hackett, but it just was so lousy. They had no choice to do but to do what they did. And nobody blames them for it. They actually let the guy stick around 5 weeks too long. So, you know, it's just I think that they got a fresh start immediately, third coach in 3 years. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you know, oh man, you know, what are we doing here, Denver? Because Denver don't get down like this, Jeff. The 3 coaches in 3 years, you've never seen Denver be this complacent as a team ever. But as I just said, they're transitioning owners. You know, you're getting out of the Pat Bowlen era and you're entering this new corporate era. They were more of a family ran team. Now they're more of a corporate ran team. Jeff, I'm going to let you kick it off. What are your thoughts on the Broncos going into this season?
If we were doing this segment in June or July, I would have a different tone. I was expecting higher expectations with the addition of Sean Payton, the emergence or let's say rebirth of Russell Wilson. And then in the offseason and the OTAs and the practices, Tim Patrick goes down. A couple other wide receivers go down. They just traded one of their tight ends. It's a team in turmoil. Javonte Williams, I'll flip it to fantasy. I do like Javonte Williams. He is healthy again, should be starting week 1. They added Samaje Perine from Cincinnati, a good backup. I think my man crush this year was Jerry Jeudy. In some of my earlier drafts, had him everywhere, and then he gets hurt. And initially, it sounded like it was a bad hammy pull. It's not that bad. I expect him to miss a few weeks. Could have been worse. So they're down to Cortland Sutton, maybe some Marvin Mims. Defense has issues as well. So my expectations have been let's say, slowed down here. I am not as high on Russell or anything here. Their 5-12 season of last year, I think they beat that. Do they get to 500 this year? I do not expect. I think they're in that 7 to 8 win season. Depends on how quick Jeudy comes back, if he does stay healthy. In a tough division. But again, as we just did the NFC West, I think the Raiders will be far enough at the bottom, and I could be totally wrong on this, with Denver, that the emergence, there'll be a 1-2 and then a definite drop off with the 3-4 with Denver and the Raiders. But I'd say about a 7 or 8 win team tops here, Pops.
All right. Well, you know what? I like the thinking in that, and then you see where they're at. They're giving them over under 8.5, 6-1. Because they're confident, but that confidence comes from having Russell Wilson. It's that simple. Let's not, Russell Wilson, doesn't matter what you think about Russell Wilson. I was arguing with people like literally every day about Russell Wilson. Oh, he's a punk and he's a this and he's that. Man, Future had his girl first. Who cares? Dude, who cares? Like, literally, who cares? That guy's like the perfect person ever. You know what I mean? Like, literally, like everybody, if you want to really use somebody as a role model for young black children, it's Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? It has to be Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? And Russell Wilson would be a leader in anything he does in life. You know what I mean? Not just being a quarterback for the Denver Broncos. He could be the mayor of Denver if he wanted to be. He could be, the captain of the Texas Rangers right now if he wanted to be. You know what I mean? That's how definitive, and that's how much of a great leader Russell Wilson is. And I know a lot of people's like, he must be the leader of the Russell Wilson fan club. Oh, Russ pisses me off just as much as he pisses off the rest of the world. But I respect him as a man first, though. And he's one of the people that I do feel like is one of the better role models in the league. And I felt like he was trying to put his winning ways on the Broncos, but it kept getting interrupted by a coach who didn't know what he was doing. And the coach literally looked at Russell to coach the team. I don't think anybody wanted to bring that up or say that, but I always saw Russ in the middle of even defensive huddles, talking to the defense, in the middle of an offensive line huddle, in the middle of a wide receiver huddle, because he's literally coaching the team. Nobody ever mentions this, but when a guy's talking to everybody a bit too much and we keep losing the game, he's literally doing the coach's job for him while your coach is sitting over there with his arms folded, looking like a total dunce. So Denver was a team that did not look like their usual selves. They looked like a totally different team last year. They looked like they were the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know what I mean? That type of mentality and attitude going into the game. We don't even know what we're doing. And that was terrible. That reminded me of the Browns when they went winless. We don't know what we're doing today, coach. And that's pretty bad. You know what I mean? And so I feel like with Sean Payton, you bring stability. That's exactly what they brought with Sean Payton, is a stable coach. And I feel like with that, what you do is in this situation, you really play up the veteran coach, veteran quarterback, and this could be their revenge season. They have a lot of good things working out in their favor, in my opinion, right now. And I feel like when it comes down to it, when I keep talking about best coaches and best this, that, and the third, in this division, it's about the best combination. It's about the best coach with the best quarterback. And, we got a lot of really good combinations here. Staley is still probably Staley's still a guy that's getting it. But when you look at the dynamic of Sean Payton and Russell Wilson coming together as a duo, you get really excited. And you tell yourself, you look at the defense and you tell yourself that, you know what, this is a top 10, top 5 defense. And this defense can be the reason why this team can still be a successful team this season. But that's going to have to truly be their calling card. You just called it out right now, Jeff. They lost 2 key receivers. Even though Judy's going to play, he's going to be good. He's an Alabama guy. They're tough. But Tim Patrick, you lose him again for the second year in a row. That's tough. But I think possibly knowing Sean Payton, he has some type of receiver there that ain't nobody talking about. And then they have a tight end there as well, too. I can't think of his last name right now, but their tight end is going to be one of the top tight ends in the NFL coming up next season because, Russell, that became Russell's favorite target. And the guys
Greg
huh?
Dulich. Greg Dulich.
Yeah, Greg Dulich. And he runs a beautiful. I think he's a better route runner than Kittle, to be honest with you. And that's a weapon right there. So losing Tim Patrick is not going to be as that big of a loss because they have the right type of tight end in place. And Russell has always thrived with really good tight ends. So with the Broncos, I'm not going to say for their fan base it's time to get excited, but I'm going to say that, you know what, help is on the way. and you're not going to duplicate what happened last season. You're not going to be a 5-12 team again. That's not going to happen. Throw that out right now. You know what I mean? So this is a team that we do have to, say, hey, they're pretty capable of being, a surprise dark horse team that can possibly steal this division. 6-1 is a beautiful number, and they got the quarterback that can lead them to the promised land. If you got the leader, anything is possible. You know what I mean? Anything is possible, Jeff. Final thoughts?
No, again, I had high expectations. I was expecting a bounce back from Russ with the addition of Peyton. Peyton's coming in again, and he's getting rid of all the trash. He's bringing in his people, and it takes a year or two to regurgitate and get back up to speed. Don't forget, Sean was in the booth for a while. He wasn't losing anything in his fastball when he was with the Saints. So now he's bringing it to Denver. Again, losing Patrick 2 years in a row. Again, the addition of Marvin Mims, that's the guy that you're looking for as Cortland Sutton is over there as well. But, you're going to have to lean on a few guys, Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine, until Judy gets back up to speed. And you're going to need some help from the defense as well. And they're in a division with three offensive teams with Kansas City, the Chargers, and the Raiders. They're going to be able to put up a lot of points. And I think Sean's not going to want to go to these games and be playing first 1 to 30 wins. He wants to, 24-23, 21-20, especially at home. He doesn't want to get into these shootouts because Russ isn't that Russ right yet. Not that he can't be, but Denver will be at their best when they keep teams under 23 points, Pops.
And I totally agree with that statement right there. I think that we are on to this is possibly one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. It's not tougher than the AFC North, but it's going to be, you go into it's always tough going to Denver. Well, come on, let's keep it real. Any team that plays in the AFC West knows Denver is the toughest spot to go to. You know what I mean? Kansas City thinks they are, but no. I think Denver's much more tougher because you're going against elevation and you're going against screaming, loud, passionate fans who don't care what their record are. They love their Broncos. All right, so let's move on. And I'm gonna let Jeff kick it off because he loves his team so much. It's just he's just such a fan of these guys. I've covered 2 Super Bowls, had to be here with them, get to know them a little bit. But you know what though? I am a fan of the Hunt family. I will give you that. I love Clark, and my boo, his daughter. But that's for later terms. But hopefully